Hey everybody, so I'm in my Bible and I am in 1 Kings chapter 11, and this is about Solomon and his wives and concubines. So the title is Solomon's Wives and Concubines Draw Men to Idolatry. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. So notice the ites on the end of all that. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, meaning all those ites. Neither shall they come into you, meaning don't merge. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love, meaning Solomon was a lustful man. Even though he was the king, he had 700 wives, he had 300 concubines, and every time he took on a new wife, he was influenced by the idolatry of that woman, of her nation, of her country, whatever. And for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. So exactly what God said would happen happened. And Solomon's heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was his father's heart, David. King David's heart was for God. And so Solomon did evil in the sight of God. Okay, so then I'm going to pass into later in chapter 11. Here we go. Okay, so verse 33. Because they have forsaken me and have worshipped after other gods, and I'm not going to name them all, but just other gods, and they have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, meaning to have righteousness, to have integrity, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father, meaning King David, followed the 10 commandments, he followed the statutes, he followed the judgments that God had set. Howbeit I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David, my servant's sake, meaning he was going to have grace and mercy on Solomon, even though Solomon was not ruling the kingdom the way that David did, because David kept the commandments and the statutes. So sometimes we're going to get grace and mercy, even though, we're not doing it correctly. Okay. I'm not saying that's a get out of jail card for free. No, I'm just saying in this instance, this is how it is. So he goes on and he says again in verse 38 of chapter 11, and it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as my servant David, King David did, that I will be with you, and build you a sure house, as I built for David, and I will give Israel to you. So the whole point is, again, God is saying, walk in his ways of righteousness. Do what is right. Keep the statutes. Keep the commandments. And, a lot of people will look at this and they'll be like, well, it's, we're not living in the Old Testament. Like, why do we have to keep these? You have to keep these because God said to keep them. And the 10 commandments are ways of living. That is the way that Jesus walked. Jesus perfected those 10 commandments, meaning Jesus did not violate the commandments. He honored and respected all of the commandments. So Jesus was perfect in living a life according to the 10 commandments, according to the statutes, according to the judgments, according to what God had said. Jesus walked a perfect life. Now, we are called to do the same as followers of Jesus. We are called to live a perfect life. Now, God has mercy on us, and he knows that we're going to fail. But if we love God and we're putting God in the first position, seek first the kingdom of heaven and all his righteousness and all that will come to you, Matthew 6:33, then we should be understanding that God expects us to follow those 10 commandments as well. And if we're out of alignment, we need to get into alignment. And if we know other people are out of alignment, it's our duty to spread the gospel and to let other people know that they're out of alignment. Now, we're planting seeds, okay? It's up to that person who receives that message what they do with it. If they ignore it, it's on them, okay? But was I obedient and told them what the 10 commandments are? Yes, I was. They heard it. If they didn't want to have anything to do with it, that's on them, okay? But I am living what God asked me to do, and I'm sharing that message with other people, inviting them into understanding that God is a serious God. He is the same God that gave the 10 Commandments. He's the same, and that same 10 Commandments, okay, remember, that same God, the God of Israel, also gave out those same 10 plagues, with the last 10th plague being the death of the firstborn. So, which is what finally released Pharaoh to let the Israelites leave Egypt out of their bonds and slavery. So, it took 9 terrible plagues and the 10th terrible plague of losing all the people in Egypt, losing their firstborn sons, to finally let Moses leave with the Israelites. Now, if you don't think that this is still happening and that, this is just Old Testament, that's not true. There's patterns and things repeat themselves if you pay close attention. So if you don't want the plagues to come across your house, if you don't want, if you don't want to be judged unfairly, then follow the 10 Commandments and understand who God is. Get a Bible, read it, start to understand it, gather together with other people that read a Bible, whether that's Bible study, online, in person, whatever, go to a church. Figure it out, people. This is an opportunity. It's an invitation. I'm actually genuinely trying to help you. That's really what my hope is for you to find who God is, and for you to get clear that maybe what you're doing is out of God's alignment.